What if the most disciplined thing you could do this evening was go to sleep? And I get it, it's easy when looking up to the likes of Alex Hormozy and Elon Musk and all the other internet gurus forcing grindset and hustle culture down your throat to fall into a trap of work, go, and then punish yourself anytime you find yourself not being your most optimal self or your most effective. And for me, I've always thought discipline is the idea of blasting through those 10-hour work blocks, getting through that workout even when I feel like shit, forcing the calories down my throat when I know I'm probably going to bring it straight back up. But I've been reading this book, Discipline of Destiny, and it's completely redefined my idea of discipline. One chapter in particular, he's talking about sleep consistency, and sleep consistency being a discipline in itself, and it's often the most effective discipline because when you go to sleep, early enough and you give yourself 8-9 hours sleep, you're setting yourself up to make more clarity-driven and effective decisions. He also says the higher the stakes, the more ambitious of a person you are, and the more stressful a situation is, the more discipline sleep requires. And as I read that and I reflected on times this may have rung true for me, I didn't really have to look very far. All I had to do was watch the first video on this channel, a situation in which I was walking to a meeting that had pretty high stakes in terms of business direction, and the night before I was feeling arse. I felt so bad, and so I think I had a cold coming on. But rather than, getting to bed early, getting those 8, 9, 10 hours of sleep to try and give my body the best chance of recovering as possible, I stayed up going over and over the pitch, refining the images, refining the wording, ensuring I was familiar with the pitch as possible, which meant the next day when I wake up, it's a swift intake of caffeine that I'm then riding off for the rest of the day, which meant I wasn't as present as I wanted to be. And I was so focused on just getting through the meeting, not stumbling, and, getting through the script. And while the meeting went well, it's definitely an area I feel I could have improved. Where I thought I was being disciplined, I was actually hurting my ability to perform. So sitting on this idea, I then noticed all the other areas of life where this seemed to ring true. For example, there have been times where I've read super consistently and I've been flowing with ideas, where I've trained MMA multiple times a week and I'm more confident, I'm more driven, I feel like more testosterone boost. And there have also been times, for the last 3 years, where I've had a music lesson every week. So I'm feeding that educational desire, I guess, and feeding that, desire to progress, that skill that, I'm not particularly talented at. And there have definitely been times where I've thought about, And there have definitely been times where I've thought about cutting these, maybe not reading, but cutting out MMA, cutting out drums in order to make time for more work, more production. But I don't think it works like that. And there are definitely people who can just work, but I think for the most people, stepping away, putting your mind on something else, or, going to sleep is often the most productive thing you can do. And I was speaking to a mentor about this, a mentor who runs a 9-figure business. And he was talking about how he doesn't see how me and this other person has the time to, go to the gym, to creatively outlet. And what I was saying, and my argument was, if I were to not train for a week, 2 weeks, a month, I feel like my mental state would be so much lower. I feel like my body would be itching to train, as it often does when I go more than a week. And I feel like my output would be so much of a poorer quality. So yeah, that's just my opinion. I would like to know, what do you feel about stepping back? Do you feel like it makes you more effective, having other avenues in which you can outlet yourselves, whether that be training creatively, or I don't know what other ones there are? But yeah, let me know in the comments below. I'd be keen to hear your thoughts. Or am I just coping? That's all from me and Pebbles. Wish you all the best. Yeah, take care.